right. There we go. And I didn't see the coin toss. It was busy. We were getting all set up. Did you see anything there?
I did not. I didn't see any of the signals afterwards either, so couldn't quite tell who's going to be receiving, which side they're going to be on. It's all a mystery thus far. A little different seeing it from this angle as well. We're used to being right behind the Clocker sideline.
Right.
Today we are behind the Bulldog sideline.
We are in the enemy territory right now.
So far they've been nice to us, though, so, you know.
Well, again, my jacket, if they ever pan over, which we can't really do, but my winter jacket is Bulldog colors, so I'm very inconspicuous. Looks like the Ashland Clockers will be kicking, excuse me. Let's see what else I can get wrong in the first 30 seconds of the broadcast. They will be receiving, and we have back deep is Nathan Sickles, and we have Jake Latessa.
Some good receivers for Ashland.
And it goes over to Sickles' way, and it's behind him into the end zone, and that'll be a touchback.
And we said last week that we don't see that very often in the Tri-Valley League.
And that was a smart play by Sickles because he was tempted to reach up and grab it, and that could have been disastrous. But we start off, who is their kicker? I didn't even see. But we're going to focus more on.
I have to thank Mr. Rob Silver for bringing the proper rain gear tonight.
Yeah.
For our rosters.
Yeah, we got a little, quite a lamination, but all right, here we go.
Laminated sleeve.
First play, we have Jackson Hornung taking the snap. That's
what a
Brody
drive
Asenko short, and it hands off to Eddie Lopez, who starts off with a nice little gain, 6 yards.
And it's interesting to see they'll start out with Hornung, and he was so fantastic last week, especially in that 2-minute drive towards the end of the game.
I did confirm he did have all 3 touchdown passes. They did bring him in the middle of that that set, and he threw 3 touchdown passes to Sickles. Sickles got, I think it was like All-Star of the Week. He got mentioned in the Herald for his performance. Hornung hands off to Lopez, who spins out of a tackle. He's brought down just a yard shy of the first down, and that is Dylan DeWolf.
Yeah, and Clockers are starting off on the ground a little bit more. We've been seeing their passing game as of late, but Eddie Lopez just lightning down the field.
And I think if they can win the game on the ground, that would probably be the best strategy. Run the clock, keep it moving. First quarter, first possession of the game.
Don't know much about the Bulldogs offense, but if they might have that strategy to keep them off the field.
There's the throw, and he's got probably Kevin Russell. Yes, it is. Kevin Russell for a pickup of about 7 and a first down. So Jackson Hornung picks up right where he left off last week with a really good, crisp throw. And Kevin Russell had a couple big catches at the end of the game. Not for a lot of yards, but he had a really important 5-6 yard pass for a first down on that 90-yard touchdown drive.
And look at this already, ball boy coming in and replacing the ball.
As the rain starts to come down a little heavier, and Brody Asenko, the up back. Hornung hands off to Lopez, finds a little bit of room, and he's brought down a short gain of about 3 yards. It's interesting. I watched some of the film on Huddle that Jake signed me in. He gave me the password, so I've been watching. Their offense has been so incredible, Old Rochester. And same with their defense, too. So, but it's hard to tell. Like you said, they don't have any common opponents, so you really don't know if it's real. Jackson Hornung looks deep, and it's not underthrown, but covered he had Russell.
Looks like that was trying to tell if that was a cornerback for them. I couldn't quite see the number from back here.
I didn't see
a
it
long
either,
way.
but yeah.
Looks like it was their cornerback, though, going all the way back with Russell. That's usually when you have the safety come over the top.
And they had somebody underneath, too. It wasn't, it was almost like he said, hey, I'm going to go to him regardless. So it brings up a third down and about 7 or 8. They got trips left, bottom here. Horning looks over there, he keeps it, and he is going to get stopped after a couple-yard gain.
Really good job there by the Bulldogs, collapsing the pocket as Horning saw an opening to run.
They've watched some game film too, but
yeah, they've seen that that QB sneak that Ashland runs.
Looks like the 3 defenders, receivers were more of a decoy. It's getting a little crowded over here.
Deep for Rochester. Number 12, Ben College, kicking for the Clockers.
And College gets off a low liner, and it's going to take a nice roll for the Clockers down to about the 13-yard line. So that's going to be a 42-yard net punt.
That's a good, that's a smart punt by College there. I don't know if he meant to do it or not, but it worked in their favor with the roll.
It did. I'm going to try and tuck do like you did, Todd.
Going Bill Belichick style.
We didn't
at WACA tonight.
We didn't announce. It's Rob Silver on the mic with Todd Cotter, and Todd, maybe get your crew in there, give them some props.
Connor Donovan and Mackie Kotab are with us tonight.
And they hand off, and they got a couple different backs that can run the ball. That was number 1, Will Garcia, who was out for a while with an injury and came back last week. And he had a touchdown run last week, as did, I think it was Diaz and Tyler No. But that's Cole McIntyre, their quarterback. Yeah, I'm going to move down here with you, Todd. Thank you for the offer, but
we're
and a quick hit there. Fumble! The ball is loose, and the Clockers have it.
Clockers
Brody
jump.
Asenko with the first big play of the game, and that's what we were talking about. Possession is going to be huge tonight.
Yep, and they're going to say that it was indeed a turnover.
There's 18,000 seats. I can't move this. I can't move the box. All right. There's 400. Yeah, tough crowd. 400 seats, and I'm supposed to move all the equipment. But anyways, I'd be mad too if my team just fumbled the ball. So we have possession, 30-yard line, Ashland Clockers, and it is Dom Kavanaugh in. He hands off to, I believe it was Brody Asenko, might have been. It was Brody. And the rain's starting to come down a little harder now.
Tackle number 9, Drew Johnson. Number 52, John Bazzari. No gain of the play, brings up a 2nd and 10.
Let's run this score up big time, and then maybe people will leave early.
Clockers had a good start on offense, especially with their running game.
And they got Eddie Braganca in the backfield, lined up to the right of Kavanaugh. And Kavanaugh keeps it, and there's no gain there.
Ball carrier number 7, Dom Kavanaugh.
And that was actually one thing with the turnover. I got distracted by the people here, but there were a few turnovers in some of the films that I watched with Old Rochester. So they like to run the ball. So if we can force them to pass by playing the run.
Well, and we've seen some similar things out of Eddie Lopez this year. cutting it to the outside and really just taking off.
Third and 10 Axel.
We got Jack Merrill and Jake Latessa lined up at the top of the screen. Kavanaugh looks to keep it. He gets outside, but they're going to wrap him up for a big loss.
Loss of about 10 yards there for Kavanaugh.
It's not the worst thing in the world. You know, they were gonna have to punt anyway, so they're punting with a little bit more room. I mean, if he had gained 4 or 5 yards, they could have gone for it, but it's not terrible.
No. Good field position for a punt, actually. Yeah, good field position for a punt. Can try and get it down within the 10-yard line, potentially, with the way college punts. Although it will be harder tonight.
With this grass field, you're not going to get as much of a bounce, especially once the, wow, good snap, actually. I thought it was a little high, and that's going to be, almost touched it, and they're going to down it right at the 1-yard line. Beautifully done by Ben College.
What was I saying? They could get it within the 10, right?
That was within the 5. 1-yard line, good call. And we have 4:27 to go. And the old Rochester Bulldogs. Is there a new Rochester?
I don't think so.
Okay. This one's just been around for a while. This is your classic Friday night old-time field, isn't it?
It really is.
You got the short goalposts. You got the grass field, a little bit of mud that's going to be crazy.
Feels like those good old Friday night lights, though.
Yeah. And we got McIntyre handing off.
Pushing forward, wow.
Nice run there. That was, that's number 5, Desmond Diaz.
That was a good push from the offensive line of Old Rochester there.
Yeah, they just moved the whole pile.
Good for a Bulldog first down.
Yeah, that was 10 yards. Okay.
I believe they said that was Desmond Diaz.
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought it was number 5.
6'0", 210-pound senior for the Bulldogs.
And they keeps it McIntyre, but they read that the whole way. And Brody Asenko in there with Jake Latessa coming to wrap him up as well.
Looks like they'll give him about a gain of maybe 2.
They like that I formation, and sometimes they'll hand it to the up back, and sometimes they'll use the up back as a blocker and hand it to the deep back. They will pitch it on occasion, but it's, you know, the wetter it gets, the more precarious it is to try and pitch the ball. We'll see what they do there, and there's the pitch, and they try and take it out wide. That's Will Garcia, the speedy guy. Brandon Grover misses a tackle there. He's brought down by Jackson Hornung.
That was a long run.
But not until they get a gain of 43 yards. And that's what they like to do.
That was a good block by the fullback out on the outside.
Yeah, and it was the first time they ran that play to that side, and they were able to
football spotted right at midfield, 1st and 10.
They were able to get it for a big one.
Oh, it's light. Okay. Thank you.
We have Old Rochester fans covering Rob Silver with an umbrella.
Tackle made by Brady Asenkoa.
But I'm making a deal with the devil. I can't say anything bad about them.
2nd and 7.
Yeah, it's all good.
As long as we can say good things about the Clockers as well. Oh, the coach is his son.
So we have
So we're
Cole
sitting
McIntyre, and then we have Cameron Brzezinski in the backfield, and it's handed to the deep back using Brzezinski as a blocker, and again, they move the pile and get a first down.
That's a good example of why you keep those legs churning.
Desmond Diaz. The announcer says Desmond Diaz, and I'm going to assume that he knows his player's name. So interesting. I went to Babson with a Scott Diaz who lived around this area. Wonder if it's any relation.
You never know.
Exactly. So McIntyre hands off, and he's met right away by 51, Colin Dagg. Nice tackle. Just back to the line of scrimmage. That's what they got to do. They got to get them into a 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and force them to pass.
Yeah, especially on the field today. Again, a wet one here in Mattapoisett.
And right now the rain's coming down pretty straight. Just
yeah,
a little bit of
not
wind.
raining sideways yet.
No. And that's Desmond Diaz, and that's a nice gain. Again, 7-8 yards. It gives them some options and a couple downs to get the first down. Down to Dom Cavanaugh on the tackle, down to the 32. And it's still first quarter, just under 1:17 to play. Clock is running, no score.
And because both teams have been going pretty heavily with the run game, that clock is winding down quickly. We may see a much quicker game than we're used to in the Tri-Valley.
Diaz again.
He's going to get the first. And just to mention it, we are sitting next to the father of head coach Justin Kogler. And I made sure I did say it right.
And it's 1st and 10, Old Rochester on the 26, 27-yard line. And it keeps it. McIntyre out wide, and he gets some yards, and
gets some blocks, and yeah, they're gonna call that.
It was a late hit, and it was targeting. If you have targeting in high school, that was kind of frustration hit right there.
Yeah, as he stepped out of bounds, that's going to be half the distance.
Half the distance, so it only cost him 4. He's lucky he's still in the game. That would have been...
he would have been out in the NFL.
Yeah. So it's going to be 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. We need a big stop, and Ashland's defense has been doing it all year. And we'll see if they can come up again with a big stop. McIntyre takes the snap, hands off to Diaz, and he's in, untouched.
That was a big hole for that Old Rochester front line.
Yeah. And it's the Bulldogs striking first.
With only 20 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Yep, and it's 6-0, and we'll bring on the extra point team, and that's Hamilton holding.
Last week, the Clockers were getting pressure on those extra kicks. Extra point kicks, I should say.
The extra point is good, and it's 7-0. And we'll see what they can do with this kick return. They need to keep this close. If they go down 14 points in enemy territory, I don't think they're going to be as motivated as they were last week at home.
Yeah, well,
that Medway crowd, Medway fan team it was a team.
If we can pan over to the Ashland bench, there are quite a number of people over there, but not nearly as much as they are used to at the Ashland games.
I think they only brought as many as the stands could hold. They must have got
they might have had
assignments.
word.
It's a small stand. It's about a tenth the size of this one. And it's Latessa with the turn. A reverse. And that catches him off guard. He's got one guy to beat. And he brings him down, but not till they take him out of bounds at the 49-yard line. Jalen Simpson.
A little trickery there from Ashland.
And that's the spark we were talking about. Coach McKay with a great play call there.
Coach McKay has been smart about using those trick plays all years. He only draws them up at pretty much the most pristine possible times.
Yeah, we go back to the faked extra point against Hopkinton. Nobody was expecting that. Do we have an injury here? Or no, a shoelace being tied.
Well, it's getting cold out here, too. We mentioned the rain, but it is a colder night, so in these frigid temps, it gets really hard to tie a shoelace.
Yeah. And we have to, we're changing balls, bringing in a...
Well, Ashland likes to pass a little bit more than the Bulldogs do.
And my inside scout for Ashland said they do practice with a wet ball during the week. Coach McKay is very aware of the game time situation and conditions. Yeah, exactly. That was the word I was looking for. So he said sometimes they'll take a ball, soak it in water with some soap to make it slippery. And
that's a smart thing, especially this is a grass field. Clockers are used to playing on the turf. The mud gets slick.
1st and 10, Latessa in motion. They give it to Latessa. He finds a little hole, and he's going to get about 7 yards there, and that'll bring us to the end of the first quarter. After the 1 quarter of play, it is the old Rochester Regional Bulldogs ahead 7-0, but the Clockers are on the move.
MIA Division 6 South Final, Rochester 7, Ashland 0.
So I was, my stats man, Jake, did send me a statistic, and he said Ashland is averaging 17 points per game this year, and their defense is averaging, holding their opponent to 12.9 points per game. That's, again, they're 8-1. But if you take out, Todd, that 48-point loss to Holliston, that 12.9 is going to go down by about 6 points. It's almost holding them to about 7 points a game.
Yeah.
7 or 8 a game. If it wasn't so cold, I'd do a little math here, and like we always say, we try and educate our listeners as well.
It's a little harder to do that tonight here.
Little math problem. If somebody wants to figure that out, we take out a 48-0. So here we are, 2nd and about 4. There's a flag on the far. I thought it was a flag on the far side. Maybe it's just a towel. And it's kept by Horning, and he's ahead for 4 yards.
15 Jackson Horning on the keeper.
It's on the far side. I'm wondering if Ashland tried bringing maybe some terrible towels from the Steelers.
I don't want to talk about the Steelers game. For anybody listening that does fantasy football.
Did you have to go against Big Ben this week?
No. Well, no. Here's the thing. So I had to pick a defense, and I wasn't really paying attention. I'm kind of out of it. I won last year. There's 10 of us. But I had the Carolina defense, okay? What was that, 52 points? So,
oh, gosh.
-3. And not only did I have the Carolina defense, the team that I was playing, the one player they had going last night was McCaffrey, who gets 3 touchdowns. I am down after 1 game, 1 player each, 38 to -3, believe it or not. It could be the widest point differential ever after a Thursday night game. You can't get worse than negative. I don't think you can get worse than -3. And it is third and a couple. Horning
escapes pressure.
And he's going to get the first down, and there's a holding call. They throw the flag. It must have been a hold. And that's unfortunate because I thought he would have had him. He's going to come back 10 yards, and that's going to make it 3rd and 12.
As we learned last week, holding is a spot foul.
When it's beyond the line of scrimmage.
When it's beyond the line.
Yes. So that one is just 10 yards.
10-yard penalty.
So we'll be 3rd and 12.
Oh, they're going to call the holding before.
It was right around the line of scrimmage, so.
Yeah.
So 3rd and 12. We'll see what they've drawn up here.
3rd and 12. Looks like man coverage for the Bulldogs.
Eddie Lopez stays into block, and they got Sickles wide open.
Sickles
and
with
hits
the catch.
him in stride.
Wow, what an amazing dime of a throw. Perfectly put right into the chest of Sickles.
He was wide open. I'd call that wide open, and you get so scared.
I don't know. You have to drop that ball in for that to be open.
I'm not saying it was a perfect throw, but he was so open, and you just see him so open, and you just get scared that it looks too good. Is that another flag? Is that another flag?
Is that going to be holding?
Maybe that's why he was wide open. False start. False start. We have.
Usually they don't let the play go on like that with a false start, so interesting. And now Ashland needing a long completion.
Procedure penalty against Ashland. 5-yard penalty was the ball back to the 44.
And
ball at Ashland's 44 now.
I can feel the heat from Coach McKay. He is
humid.
He's got to be very upset there. All right, so we'll see. We pulled out a 3rd and 2, and there's another penalty or a timeout possibly. Old Rochester coach didn't like what they saw there. Timeout. 8:43 to play. 7-0 the Bulldogs over your Ashland Clockers.
And we will try and keep you updated with the score as much as possible for all you live viewers at home.
And I think we have PJ listening in today. Jake went to visit PJ. PJ, if you're listening, Jake was glad to see you, and hope you enjoyed the game that you guys watched together. And he said you were feeling a little bit better. We're pulling for you. We're hoping we're going to pull out a win for PJ and maybe get him over to Gillette for the Super Bowl. That would be great.
Let's hope we can.
We're always thinking of you, buddy. But it wouldn't be an Ashland Clocker game if we didn't make it a little dramatic.
Of course.
They've had some incredible wins this year.
Well, and that's why you got to be cautious about Old Rochester jumping up too much, but I'm not too worried if in the 4th quarter Old Rochester only trails by a touchdown.
No.
And there is a fumble lost by the Clockers. They're going to call it down, though.
Call it down. Oh, right, exactly.
He fell down. At that point,
it's fortunate this isn't the NFL. Otherwise, it would have been a fumble.
And again, the Clockers not really used to these conditions.
You noticed that too, yeah.
Used to the turf field, it's gonna be a lot slicker out here.
And if you can keep your footing, I mean, he made a couple of the defenders miss, but he just lost it too there. And a nice snap there, College with another decent punt. Almost hits the guy in the back, and it takes a beautiful roll for the Clockers down to the 25-yard line. And again, that's 43 yards. 43 yards with no return.
So College doing a great job thus far.
Yeah. He's the MVP right now.
Yeah.
He's pinning him down at the 1, the other.
Hey, who was it? McAfee was a hometown hero for quite a while in Indianapolis, especially during that short time where Peyton Manning was injured before they got Andrew Luck and before Peyton left.
Yes, Karen, I can hear you. And there's a run to the outside and another 11 yards. They're just wearing down this offense. McIntyre, the quarterback keeper. I got my friend Karen Domahowski listening in today.
We have about 58, now 60 viewers on the live stream.
For 11, first and 10.
So hello and welcome to you. You are joining us. Ashland up 7-0 with about 7.5 minutes. We're halfway through the second quarter. Sorry.
Pitches it back to Garcia. Garcia with a big hole. He's quick, and another 9 yards.
Sorry, I said Ashland up 7-0. I am dead wrong there. Ashland down 0-7 to the hometown Old Rochester Bulldogs. Thank you for correcting me. Again, our crew is Connor Donovan and Mackie Kotab. Connor Donovan caught my mistake there.
Can we see any comments here?
We should be able to. Sometimes you need to enter into the feed to actually see it.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see what you're saying.
So hello, Michael Shore.
Claudia Bennett. And there's another big play. And that's Diaz.
Number 5 for the Bulldogs. And again, it's Old Rochester with that really good ground game that we were talking about. And the Clockers need to stop that early and try and force the pass, as you were saying before.
They're having trouble with every aspect of the run game right now, but especially out wide. And McIntyre drops back to pass. He's got his receiver deep, and it's going to be a touchdown. He beat Jack Merrill. That's Tyler No on the receiving end of the reception. 39 yards from Cole McIntyre.
Merrill got caught looking back a little too early for that pass, lost sight of his receiver, and
just
the Bulldogs
couldn't catch up.
Yeah, Bulldogs now up 13-0, and the extra point coming up for them. Number 2, Tyler Lowe.
No. N-O-E.
No. I thought you were saying no, that's not his last name.
No. No, I knew. Yeah, thank you. I saw that, yeah. And the extra point is good, and we're now 14-0 Old Rochester with 6:29 to play as the rain comes down just a little bit. Steady. No, actually the rain just stopped. No, I'm only kidding. But we have
could only hope.
Adam Kahn, Jane Carasquillo. Jake Merrill is number 4. We have a lot of Jakes. We have a Jake Latessa, number 3. We have Jack Merrill, number 4. We have, who else do we have? We have some other Jakes on the team, don't we?
Good old, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
It's a little hard for us to feel in that mood, though, with the Clockers down 0-14.
Ryan Thomas with a squib kick, and they're just going to have to fall on this one. No, he picks it up, and
they're not allowing that trick play to happen again.
Yeah, and I've seen them do that too. They're looking for maybe take a shot and hit it off one of the up men as well.
Ashland might be too used to that during their practices.
Jen Hathaway, welcome to the broadcast. Oh, you've probably been here the whole way. But just confirming, Jake Latessa is number 3, as we said. And I believe we have, it's Kavanaugh in a quarterback looking over for a signal from McKay. And it's Brody Asenko in the backfield. And he throws. He's got a blocker out there.
He'll go out.
Nate Sickles.
It's a good 8-yard gain or so.
57 yards, brings up a 2nd and 3.
64 viewers. Nancy Papal Leary, welcome.
Thank you to everybody coming and listening in.
And thanks to the crew, because
This was a bit of a haul, but it was a nice opportunity. We all came together.
I'm glad everything's running nice and smooth. We got Kavanaugh wasn't ready for the snap, but he does. You know
Picks
what?
it up. He only loses about a yard, I believe, on that.
Brought down by Brzezinski and DeWolf.
So that mistake could have been a lot worse. It looks like
It could have been a lot worse, and I'm just wondering if it was a design play like the Patriots do. You know how Brady will look over, but the snap's supposed to go to the running back, which would have been Brody. And if that was the play, it just wasn't executed right. Otherwise, it was not well designed regardless.
Well, and
Okay.
something I've been seeing so far tonight from Old Rochester is some man coverage. Oh, and if they had gotten that snap off quickly, they had a
Third
man
and
wide open on the outside.
He's just overthrown and almost intercepted. You could see that one was sailing a little bit, intended for Latessa.
Down at the Sickles.
And they're going to have to punt. It's 4th and 5.
5.5 minutes, not a large time of possession for
No.
the Clockers thus far.
No. It's going to tire out the defense. They have a few two-way players. College with a slippery ball has to fall on it. And he didn't have to fall on it, but that was the safe thing to do. He did have time to get up there. It's just a totally different game than they're used to playing.
And
The ball's heavier, it's slick, and if it's not perfect, you're gonna see some mishaps, and that is just a dagger.
I think the Clockers are struggling here early. Pressure maybe getting to them a bit. Some mistakes that you don't normally see from this Clocker team.
And Diaz, 4 yards, second and goal on about the 1 with 5:04 to play. The clock is running. The Bulldogs looking to go up by 3 scores after a mishandled snap on a punt. And it's handed off, and Diaz walks into the end zone. We got to regroup, guys. Oh, they had the wind. That's probably why. They had the. Actually, that's probably one of the reasons why that snap kind of sailed on them a little bit. They did have the wind. It's starting to pick up a little bit if you see the flag. And the Bulldogs are good with the extra point to go up 21-0 with 4 minutes, 40 seconds to play.
We are much closer to the coast than normal, so the winds may be a little rougher out in this area.
Yeah, it's what we said. It's not going to be easy to come back from a deficit, especially 21 points and the conditions deteriorating like they will over time. But if anyone can do it, it would be the Patriots and our Ashland Clockers.
Well, they're both mentally tough teams, and that's the biggest thing to note.
Yeah, Coach.
Mental toughness is
Another squib,
well coached.
and I think that's Sickles. Picks it up and gets okay yardage there. Back to about the 35-yard line. So decent field position. One play at a time. Those penalties just killed them on that a couple drives ago. They had gotten past midfield, and it's eventually that stuff catches up with you. They've gotten away with it all year. When they've had some inopportune penalties, they've overcome that. But, you know, this is a 9-0 team that puts up 30, 40 points a game sometimes. You know, they put 34 points up against Dedham last week, who was 7-1. So just can't give them those opportunities.
Ashland only putting up 19 last week.
Hands off, and he's trying to move the pile.
Lopez.
Eddie Lopez picks up half a yard. 4:10 to go, and it's 21-0. Rochester, old Rochester Bulldogs having their way with the Clockers. We started off all right. We got that quick turnover. Thought we might take control, but it's been all Bulldogs since then. So let's see what we got going here. 2nd and 10. Jackson Horning and Eddie Lopez deep. They got Dom Kavanaugh lined up short, and he keeps it. And there's motion again.
Kavanaugh, the keeper, flag in the play.
And it's going to move them back
5
5 yards. So 2nd and 15.
Three and a half minutes remain.
Why all the penalties, Todd? What do you think? They just rattled? I mean, the crowd's not that loud.
No, I don't know what it is, but I think it's, you know, they do realize that they're going up against a tough opponent, and again, this is territory they're not used to. The conditions are getting rough. I think they're just a little nervous.
Yeah. Even there, Jackson looks over. He's got Sickles and just couldn't get it there.
And the passing game that Ashland has relied on much of this year, they might want to switch up their tactics, because it is getting very slick out there.
Yeah, well, the run wasn't working. Jackson threw that nice strike to Sickles that was called back because of the penalty, and since then it's just been moving backwards.
Might have taken the wind out of the Clockers' sails a little bit.
And I know Coach McKay likes to play both quarterbacks, and Kavanaugh is an excellent quarterback, but I think Jackson's just lately he's been a little sharper with the passes, and he might have to go with whoever gets hot. Somebody can get hot and just go with the hot hand, because
yeah, well, Hornung was the one who was throwing dimes, especially last week, and you saw it earlier today before. We've been moving back since then, but he was also the one, I believe, that almost lost the fumble earlier. There was almost a fumble on his end, but luckily they called him down.
Yeah, when
once
he
his
was
knee hit.
scrambling and put the ball down. And, but I think that's what he's going to have to do. Just if somebody gets hot, just stick with the hot hand, because it's a tough adjustment with the rain and the wind and the cold. And he spins out of a tackle, and he finds somebody open down the sideline. And again, we're pretty far away. Let me see who that was.
Looked
That
like
was
it.
Kavanaugh. I think it was Kavanaugh. No, it was actually Nate Sickles, and he's grabbing his arm a little bit, so he tweaked something over there, and he's coming off the field.
2.5 minutes remain. Clockers look like they're lining up to go for it on 4th and about 4 or 5.
He may be looking to run as much time off, maybe draw him off sides. I'd be surprised if he doesn't punt, but hey, good for him. And Merrill
Merrill
gets the
caught
first
it.
down. He's got the yardage. I'm looking at the ref spotting. We're at a bad angle, but
Pass complete to number 4, Jack Merrill.
Jack Merrill with a
Good
huge
play,
reception.
first down.
And that's what the Clockers need.
Football score at the clock at 43, 1st and 10.
And now I think the Bulldogs are going to take a timeout here.
Timeout OR.
And as we were saying before, Horning is in at quarterback. And it looks like it's sparking this offense a little bit again. So that's something that Coach McKay may have to evaluate in the locker room. Kavanaugh has done great all year, but sometimes you do have to go with the hotter hand.
Right. In these conditions, because not everybody can adjust to it as quickly. And I'm sure if Kavanaugh, on any given night, Kavanaugh can throw as well as Jackson Horning. But right now, like we said, you got to go with a hot hand.
Sometimes there's one thing that's very interesting, and
The music.
I never. I thought the playlist has been pretty good so far.
I don't mind it.
But one of the things that you got to look at is Horning seems to have a little more touch on his passes. Again, I've only really played flag football for the most part, especially as a receiver. But there are a couple of quarterbacks where as much as they spin the ball real well, they have a nice touch to it.
And he's got the guy underneath, and he slipped.
Oh.
Russell
slipped, and it looked like
I thought he was going to.
Ashland may have had
Merrill was open.
Merrill open, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go for Merrill on the inside there of Russell. 2:07 to go. 21-0. That's the first time I said it, but I keep thinking Georgia Bulldogs. Right, exactly. I guess if that's your uniform colors, you have to be a Bulldog. Because they do have similar colors. And it's a design keep. And they didn't fool anybody. Gain of about a yard.
Well, one thing I've noticed about the old Rochester Bulldog line is they really know when to collapse the pocket, and they do everything really well in terms of their pass rush.
Yeah. And I'm not surprised, because you don't get to be 9-0 without doing a lot of things right. That's 3rd and 8. We've got a 2-down territory. Drops back to pass. 5 receivers, and that was just overthrown.
Minute 20.
Intended for Jake Latessa.
Brings up 4th down.
4th down and 10. And it looks like the Clockers will bring on the punt crew. But I'd be watching Ashland for a little trick play right here.
Yeah, I think they
might be serious about it.
Yeah, I think. Oh, if you're gonna try a trick play, you might as well go for it. But they just don't want to give up another score. Make them go 85 yards, another decent kick. 40-yard punt by College.
And that's the one big disadvantage that the Bulldogs will have here is they're going to go with their running game. You know it's coming, and as long as they can bring them down, it's going to run time off the clock.
Yeah.
They just got to keep them in bounds when they tackle and try and keep the clock running unless, of course, they take timeouts.
I don't think they're going to be too aggressive. I think they're content. Yeah, they're in the
they're content.
They're just going to take a knee and run the clock out. Yeah, no need to risk a turnover and swing the momentum. So we got just under a minute to go. We'll have to snap the ball one more time. I don't know how many timeouts Coach has over there, but I wouldn't mind making them punt from the end zone. What do you think about that, Todd? Make them punt from the end zone. The ball's wet. Why can't they have a bad snap. Try something.
I don't know. I think there's some mutual respect between the two teams.
Mutual respect comes after the game. At this point, if this was the end of the game, then I would call a timeout.
That's true.
Come
Granted,
on.
I don't know how many timeouts the Clockers have used thus far.
I didn't think they used any. Well, they would have used 1 or 2, but that's gonna do it. There'll be some good gamesmanship right now if they called a timeout. And oh wait, maybe they did.
That brings us to the
No,
end.
no.
First
No,
half.
that will be the end of the first half.
All right, well, not what we wanted to see for the first 22 minutes of play. It is 21-0. Your old Rochester Regional High School Bulldogs ahead of the Ashland Clockers. We got an upside down umbrella. And here we go. We're ready to start the third quarter. Clockers down 21-0. Little squib kick, and the field is starting to absorb, take some moisture, and tackle made by number 27. I don't have my chart here because of the weather. Everything's under the
We're going to do our best. Luckily, we have quick announcers for the field. And I heard that we are the exclusive station for this game.
Oh,
That's one way to put it.
I believe I saw some other fans.
Maybe recording the game.
McIntyre handing off, and he's stopped by Jackson Horning and Dom Kavanaugh and Brody Asenko. So I'm going to just try and go with the names that I remember on the Bulldog side. And
if you would like me, I can pull the sheet out. We don't quite have the.
I forget. I have the back on mine for number 27 for the Clockers. I forget the name, and I should know it. You flip that over, and there's a snap, and it's handed off for very little gain there. And again, Asenko, and it might have been Kavanaugh again.
Lou Jimmy Brown.
Oh, Jimmy Brown, yes.
Old Jimmy Brown?
Yeah, we've got Obi. Obi is the name
Obi.
that he prefers. That's right.
I said old Jimmy.
I did too. It's like old Jim Brown. But all right, here we go. Clockers looking for a big stop here. 3rd and 7, as we have the first possession of the third quarter, trailing 21-0. And the quarterback keeps it. He pitches out, but they read that one. And Will Garcia goes nowhere. Jake Latessa brings him down for a loss of 1. And that's what they needed. That's what they needed. We're going to get a punt. And every punt is going to be very precarious.
Yeah, the rain definitely coming down much harder now.
The ball is heavy. It's wet. It's slick. It is so cold out.
The wind is really starting to pick up. That's going to be the concerning thing going forward. It is getting cold, windy, and rainy.
Get some penetration. That's a deep kick and fair catch.
Brought right out of bounds.
Nate Sickles, so it's good to see him back. He had that little injury towards the end of the first half. And the wind is going from our right to left, kind of going across the field diagonally towards the corner of the end zone. And the Clockers will take over. 8:59 to go. First possession for them in this third quarter, trailing 21-0 on the 26-yard line. And in at quarterback is Dom Kavanaugh. Oh, Jackson and Kavanaugh. Maybe it's a trick play. And it was a little bit of a trick play. Kavanaugh breaks a tackle. That was actually a lateral, I believe, and the intent was to throw it again, but they were not fooled.
1-yard loss brings up 2nd and 11.
And there's one thing I got to say about our crew tonight. They are really doing a fantastic job. They are suffering through the cold and wet. And one of the great things is we actually have a crew full of Boy Scouts. We all came from the same troop.
Awesome.
We got 2 Eagles and 1 soon-to-be Eagle.
Yeah, see which one can build a fire, please. That would be great. Nice catch there by Sickles.
Sickles keeping the
Just
legs
gotta
moving.
wrap it up. Wrap up the ball. They don't bring them down. They blow the play dead, but not until they gain 14-yard line as a gust of wind.
Oh, gosh, our camera crew has an umbrella for their purposes, and that umbrella is just taking a beating tonight. And I will take control of the umbrella as the madness ensues.
Grab that end. Ready? Got to put it into the wind. I do this at the beach all the time. All right, Horning hands off, and it's a nice gain there. Pickup of about 12 yards. Who was that? That was Obi. Obi making good use of his playing time. She gets 12 yards.
Again, Ashland down 0-21.
Just like that, they're in Bulldog territory.
And this might be the spark that they need. Again, remember that the Clockers overcame a 14-0 deficit against Medway. Ended up winning that game with 19 straight unanswered points.
And he throws into the flat. Brody Asenko gets the block, and he picks up about 7 or 8 yards.
And
nice
that
block
might be
by Rochester or Russell, but Coach McKay is like Bill Belichick as far as the adjustments at halftime. He really does. And
they do a really good job throughout the entire organization. And one of the great things is they're very innovative in their play calling.
Yeah, they don't. It's nothing too outrageous. You know, they play within themselves, but it's just smart. It's smart play. Like there, they knew they had. They set it up. They had the block.
Well, and that's one of the things you haven't seen much from the Clockers this year.
He keeps it, and he gets a nice hold. Jackson Horning fumbles, and it's picked up, and it's still loose. And I think the Bulldogs fell on it.
In these wet conditions, just as the Clockers thought they had a spark.
He had that ball out there a little bit. I think when we see the replay, you're going to see he didn't tuck it away. And it doesn't take a lot in this type of weather condition to cause a fumble. And that is very deflating. 6:02 to play, and it is now back to the Bulldogs on their 22-yard line. But the Clockers have shown some life. They know that they can move the ball. They know that they can stop this team. And there they go. 2 yards. They're just shutting them down. And 5:43 to go. The Bulldogs are, kind of content just running the ball because they will chew a lot of time off the clock. They know that the Clockers need to get 3 scores.
That's what their offense is based off of as well. And look at that, is something I haven't seen very much as far as a formation.
Handoff.
I never really noticed their formation before. They have that sort of I formation, but
yes.
The slot receiver that you usually have out wide, they stick him in the backfield and add him basically as a blocker to help with those outside runs.
And they'll give it to the up back sometimes with a quick hitter, and they mix it up.
Yeah. Quarterback keepers we've seen a couple of times, some QB options.
But their offense is centered around the run. So here they are again, the I formation. They got 2 backs.
Third down,
he drops back to pass. They got some rush on, and they're going to get him. It's a fumble. That is a fumble. See if they can fall on it. It's still loose. And the Bulldogs are able to fall on it.
Not after a loss of about...
But unfortunately, they had a couple chances, and it looked like the clocker tried to pick it up, and he should have just fallen on it because it keeps the clock running, and obviously the field position is going to change a little bit too, but back to punt. He's got a little bit of wind with him, and it's a low snap, and he can't get it off. Oh, and he does a great job. They could have called a roughing. Oh, he tipped it. He tipped it. That's why there was no flag. Great job to recover. And he's fortunate he got a little piece because it could have been a penalty.
36, take over 1st and 10.
And it's 3:53 to play. The Clockers, after their turnover, force a 3-and-out with some good pressure. And this is a different Ashland Clocker team. We hope our equipment hangs in there because this could set up to be a phenomenal finish. Right now it's 21-0, but I am optimistic.
As is most of Ashland. Again, we
before.
will try and get some more scores and everything to you. We haven't been able to post much or anything because
Kavanaugh goes deep. He's got a receiver open. What an amazing catch by Jake Latessa.
Oh my goodness, outstretched hands, the diving catch, Latessa. My goodness, right on the sidelines.
In the best of conditions, that is a difficult catch, but to catch it with the wind, the rain in your face, the heavy ball, I mean, it's like a medicine ball at this point.
Well, luckily they are replacing the ball quite often.
Yes, and now the wind's coming right into the face of the announcers. Don't
And
worry
the
about
clockers.
us. Don't worry about us. We got that's Brandon Grover on the sweep, and he gets about 4 yards, 5 yards. And they're really mixing up the play calls now.
Tackle made by Jude Johnson, John Bazzari.
This is going to be, hopefully this is reminiscent of the snow game with the Patriots when they Terry kicked that field goal late in the game in those adverse weather conditions. So it is 2nd and 5. Kavanaugh with Obi, and he passes. He's got a receiver
room
in the flat. It's Brody Asenko who gets about 7 or 8, but that's a first down. It's going to be 1st and goal.
And our camera crew is struggling with their umbrella. I'm just laughing far too much. I told them they got to take it down at some point.
All right.
The wind's just getting too ridiculous. So my apologies for laughing.
God bless him. But
I gotta laugh at my
2:30 to play. Clock is running. It's 1st and goal. Ashland Clockers on the 4-yard line, and they are trailing 21-0. Brandon Grover in motion again. He hands it to the Ola Jimmy Brown gets the handoff, and he goes nowhere. Lost about a yard, actually.
Tackle made by DeWolf, Brzezinski. Short loss of good.
So it is now 2nd and goal from the 6 yard line.
Brings up a 2nd and goal.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they try the isolation down here with Russell. He's got a receiver who's about 5 inches shorter than him. And guess they didn't like the matchup that I saw. So they go for, they run it for about a yard, maybe no gain, so it is now 3rd and goal. On a positive note, we will have the wind at our backs on the offense in the last quarter. Unfortunately, the announcers will still have the wind driving in their face with the rain. This is Jim Cantori with your weather. I think it's still a Category 1, but all right. 3rd and 6, and Kavanaugh goes nowhere.
And again, I'm surprised they're not taking that advantage that they have on the outside.
Maybe he thought he saw the hole. So we'll see if they run a play here. You know, it's interesting. He's actually better off because if they score here in the next quarter, if they score now, they have to kick off into the wind. He's better off letting the clock run out and try and score on the first play of the 4th quarter. And 2 seconds, 1 second, and that's the end of the quarter. And I'm thinking he did that by design, but it is a quick quarter, 21-0, 11 minutes to play as we start the 4th quarter, and it'll be 4th and goal on the 7-yard line. Ashley and Clockers look to get on the board.
Todd, there's like water blobs on the lens. Like I can see them.
And I gave up my jacket. I sacrificed my jacket for the good of the WACA equipment here.
I don't know. No.
And it much appreciated.
I don't know what this experience is like.
Yeah, it's all right. As the wind, they couldn't have been any more accurate with this weather forecast.
Cold, windy.
But the timeline was just perfect.
The one time they get it right, of course it has to be. You know, you don't usually have accurate forecasts in New England, but today they got it right, and
last week
much
we
to our
lucked out.
dismay.
Last week we lucked out. We thought it was going to be raining, and it ended up being a pretty nice night.
Yeah,
Very
we were
mild.
set up downstairs in the booth that night.
Can you hear my teeth chattering? All right, big play here. We start the 4th quarter. Clockers trailing 21-0. It is 4th and 7. They have the wind at their backs. It's Dom Kavanaugh. He's got Brody Asenko lined up to his left. He drops back to pass, and he goes for the mismatch. He's got Russell, and there's a penalty. It could be a hold. Let's see what the play is. Hopefully it's not offensive.
Well, no matter what, at this point, the Clockers have to go for anything they can get.
That was 4th down, so I believe, let's see.
Todd, you're a madman.
And it is pass interference on the defense, so we will get 4 more downs. We'll get it on the, they don't put it on the 1, I think they put it on the 2-yard line in high school.
Well, it's usually half the distance to the goal, and it's a little hard to tell from this angle. But they might have been at the 4. The 4 or 5.
I thought they were on the 7. I don't know. I think because it occurred in the end zone, they put it on the 2-yard line. But anyways, they got 4 downs. Just hold on to it. They snap it to, I think it might have been Eddie Braganca. It's down to the 1-yard line.
Do you want?
Behind the surge of Ryan Winnells. And it is now.
Down to the 1, 2nd goal Clockers.
And they're going to snap it pretty quick. Probably punch it in again. It looks like trying to move the pile. Yeah. I don't know who handed off. The stands are shaking. We got and a huge gust of wind.
Sends many an umbrella going inside out.
I thought that was the wind. It's the fans stomping on the stands, and they switch balls. It is 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. Binoculars coming in huge. And again, we have Kavanaugh lined up at the quarterback position. Brody Asenko to his right as they're spread out, trying to find a hole. Kavanaugh rolls out. He has a receiver, and it's underthrown, almost intercepted.
And we are
Pass
back
was
to
intended for College.
And now we are back to 4th down and 2 yards to go.
And you can see how tough the footing was. Kavanaugh almost slipped on his first step after receiving the snap. Good job by the underclassmen on the clockers with the bringing in the balls, trying to keep them as dry as possible. And if Ashland's going to come back, they're going to have to punch it in here on 4th. And there's Latessa, can't even get his footing to get in
position.
It's just
things.
Kavanaugh hands it off, and he fumbled the ball, but he wasn't in. Didn't matter. They held him. He wasn't going to get in anyways. That was Brody Asenko, stopped short. He did recover it, but it was a turnover on downs. 21-0. And if
we'll see what Old Rochester does here. The Bulldogs with their run-heavy offense. I think they're going to try and run this clock out.
They're going to run it. They just got to wrap it up and hold on to it, and they get about 5 or 6 there. Good game there.
And we have a clocker holding the arm.
It's Brody Asenko. You might have heard it on that run. He's a tough kid.
He stays in there.
Yep.
And you can see he is covered in mud. Those once white uniforms.
And the quarterback keeps it. Nice safe play. Ryan Dornells wraps him up, but not before he gets a first down. Momentarily stopped the clock, but once they set the ball, they'll start it again. It's 8:48 to go, 21-0. Bulldogs of Old Rochester.
Come on, Lightning, please. Lightning.
Well, McIntyre, the keeper, good for a Bulldog.
What's that old saying? It's not rain, it's God's tears. God must be a Clocker fan. He's very upset.
I'm very upset.
I'm very upset.
The cameramen are very upset. Connor Donovan and Mackie Kotob again. About 8.5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Clockers down 0-21 against the hometown Old Rochester Bulldogs.
And they call it timeout. Somebody, I don't know who called the timeout, but
I'm not sure either. Might have been the Clockers trying to save some clock time.
I don't know.
Try and hold out for a miracle. Only the Patriots and the Clockers, as you said before, could pull it off.
They had a couple chances.
And fans here are starting to leave a little bit. The rain getting to be too much, and for the Old Rochester Bulldogs, I hate to say it, but the game does seem to be
Well in hand?
Well in hand for them. Unless they can pull off, you know, something like the Falcons, but
I mean, they need it. They need a turnover. They need a lot of turnovers. There's a little run there. Pickup of a couple by Dias. And it'll bring up 2nd and about 8 on the 17-yard line. But it's been a great season. If they don't pull it out here, it's been an unbelievable season.
they've
Big
made
gust
it.
of wind.
They've made it this far, which gives us a lot of hope for next season. There are quite a few seniors on this team, but a lot of up-and-coming talent. Kavanaugh will still be here next year.
The JV team, I think, only had one loss this year. The freshman team did well. Even the middle school team, I think, was undefeated or had one loss, 7th and 8th graders. I saw some posts there. So the program has a lot of longevity.
Slew of talent.
Yeah. So people are really buying into it. And, oh, a pitch in this crazy weather, and he runs them out of bounds.
So could you say that Ashland's developing its own little farm system?
Yeah, you could say that, and you would be correct. And for them to step into the large division, I think people expected maybe 2 and 3 within the division, but they went 4 and 1. Again, a 1 loss to Holliston. But they're the only remaining team in the Tri-Valley Small and Large out of 5, 6 playoff teams that made it this far. Holliston went out early, Hopkinton went out, and it's 4th and 5, and he's back to punt, and it's a good snap, and not much of a kick, but into the wind. It's kind of what you'd expect. So 6:56 to play. The Clockers hanging on to a slight hope that they can come back from this 21-0 deficit in a driving rainstorm. Puddles of mud. Isn't that a band?
Puddles of mud?
It is. It
Probably.
is. Cameraman, he's shaking his head.
Yep.
I only know that because somebody on one of my friends on social media is a big fan. How many other bands can we work in here? Fish? Do we see any fish swimming along in the foot? And he's rolling out, trying to keep his footing, throws back. And a nice job there by Jackson Hornung just to get the ball away and not take the sack. Kevin Russell came back, but you can see how tough the footing is.
As a large gust of wind comes along. Again, tough conditions.
Oof. Yeah.
Inside out umbrellas, tough conditions.
I was just going to criticize the umbrella in front of us. 2nd and 10, 6:47 to go. Let's stay focused. And Jackson drops back to pass. And he
Jackson
keeps
steps
it.
Up.
And he slides ahead for about 3 yards.
That'll keep the clock rolling with about 6.5 minutes.
And it is 3rd and 8.
No, not.
3rd and 8. Kavanaugh rolls out, drops it off, and it's incomplete through the hands, I believe, of Sickles.
Why is the clock going? Move. Go.
And it is 4th down. 4th and 8, 5:59 to go.
The Clockers looking for a miracle here.
And kudos to the cheerleaders on both sides. Just look at them. They are hanging tough. Ashland, I saw them behind the team. They're still cheering and trying to give as much support as we can, and they've been phenomenal all year. And here it is, 4th and 8. Kavanaugh lets it fly, and it just sails. With the wind, with the rain.
And the Clockers
This is the most points, by the way, they've given up all season. They've given up 20 points twice, I believe. And last week against Medway, that was their lowest point out. 14 points was the lowest they scored all year. They hadn't scored below 20. The defense, even holding this team under, to 21 points, is pretty impressive. That unfortunate missed punt that keeps the clock running there. Is they're just going to hand the ball off and just hope nobody gets injured. We can focus on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, and again, your Ashland Clockers will be taking on the Hopkinton Hillers. And what's always a thrilling matchup, we saw it once before this year. Something we're not used to is playing Hopkinton in the regular season. Usually we have to wait until Thanksgiving Day football for that.
They just keep it, run it up the middle for another 4 yards.
And these blockers are quite aggressive from Old Rochester. You saw them put one of the Ashland safeties on their butt, but one of the things they need to watch out for is that should have been called a foul, because that was after the play had been called dead.
It was close. It was close. But they've moved this. They've moved the pile a lot.
Yeah.
So, let's see, 3rd and 5. Goes nowhere. It's 4th down. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for it. No need to, because if they get the 1st down, they can run some clock off. Why risk the snap? And hats off to the Clocker defense, because they're not giving up. They've played a great second half. I mean, the second half is 0-0.
It is. And in fact,
yeah, they are going to go for it. Almost drew him off sides. That might have been the play, and he's going to call a timeout.
With 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this game.
Please, is that a 20-second or a 2-minute? More CCR. They're playing Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Oh no, somebody, is that 3 Dog Night? I apologize. I'm not looking at my phone. It's too wet and rainy out here, so I can't see, but somebody probably was correcting me on that. I get a lot of the bands from that era mixed up. I don't like the music that much. Early 70s, the CCR, 3 Dog Night. Mid 70s, late 70s, I don't really have any good Bee Gees. Well, actually, no, the Bee Gees, well, Staying Alive. Staying alive, staying alive. Yeah. Fanny Be Tender. That's,
My parents grew up, they were teenagers in like the mid-90s.
Hold on, big 4th down play. 4th and 4.
Here we come.
He is back to punt. And a nice punt, all things considered. And he runs up and catches it. Good sure hands there. Who was that? Was that Sickles? Yeah. Sickles has been solid all year.
But as you were saying, my parents grew up more in the mid-90s, so they were more the hard rock, and
yeah,
they were more that era.
Sure.
No. Stop it.
I'm expecting, is it too early for them to play Queen? We are the champions.
Maybe just
I mean, or do you do that? Wow, big gust of wind. We lost a couple umbrellas on that one. And Kavanaugh Gets wrapped up, brought down for a loss of about 7, keeps the clock moving.
Nobody's playing good. It's boring now. They're all tired and cold.
These players have nothing to be ashamed of. A little sloppy in the first half, but they played their heart out in this second half like they did all season. And it's been a lot of fun watching these guys.
They have done a fantastic job, as you said. Really nothing to be ashamed of. Even a great job in this game. And one thing I got to give to both teams is that they've kept it mostly all mutual. Oh, leveled is Nate Sickles.
Yeah.
Made by Dias.
And just as we were saying, they've kept it nice and so. I mean, it was a clean hit, and you know, Rochester's just playing hard. And we are now gusting probably 35. Let me check out my anemometer thingy. Yeah, we're about 35, 40 mile an hour gusts here. Tell you right now, if you live in Old Rochester and you're trying to think of a new business, if you open up an umbrella shop tomorrow, you might make a lot of bucks. All right, here we go. 3rd and 16 on the 24-yard line. Kavanaugh drops back to pass. He rolls out. He's got Jack Merrill, who can't bring it in.
Well,
we got 2:28 to play.
Everybody's hands are now wet.
Cold.
It's going to be a long ride home. Lots of heat going on in the cars, hopefully.
Yeah. It may take a while to get out of the parking lot as everybody looks to exit all at once. Although if I was Old Rochester, I'd just hang around and celebrate for a while. Let the clockers go first. And it's 4th and 16, 2:28 to go. And I believe if we don't get a first down, you may see the teams mutually run out the clock. Let's see what they do here. They got Kevin Russell lined up down. Hornig takes the snap. He looks to get to the outside, and he's thrown out of bounds.
Horse collar tackle.
Yeah, that's what Jackson was saying to the ref there.
A little lopsided play call, I must admit, tonight, but it doesn't change the fact that Old Rochester was a dominating force.
The home field advantage really helped them. This is the field, they play on this type of field all year long, and it's a big difference, the turf versus the artificial, versus the mud with a little bit of grass sprinkled on it. And this is old school football. Just smash it, Smash Mouth foot. Another band, isn't that Smash Mouth? Is
Smash
that
Mouth,
another?
yep.
Yeah. Okay. The I formation, and they're gonna get another touchdown.
Late here in this game, just piling on.
And that is quite unfortunate for many reasons. I'm a little surprised that they ran that play. Makes me a little bit less of an Old Rochester fan. I was a big fan of theirs up until then.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some mutual respect, and it seemed like they were gonna just try and get the first down, but that's just disrespectful.
I mean, what's his name, the guy for the Rams, Todd Gurley can stop on the 1 yard line, in an NFL game with, a couple minutes to play. They sure can do it, but hey, they're kids. They play hard. They played hard all year. And
we're down to the final 2 minutes. We'll see how Ashland responds. if they look to score right back or if they just look to get out of here, take a couple of knees and go home.
You know,
Nobody would blame them.
I think they would have taken, well, they wouldn't have had the chance to take the knee, but the fact that they didn't take a knee for Old Rochester, I think they're going to say screw it. I think they should try and punch one in. And he's got a lot of the JV players in the game. Nice gesture there. Let them get their uniforms a little dirty, but the upperclassmen and the starters all did a great job. That's another hard tackle. Couldn't see who picked that one up.
And he took that hit and just kept driving his legs.
That was Eddie Lopez. Remember that name.
Eddie Lightning Lopez.
Yes. So we're going to see a lot of Eddie in the next couple of years. You're going to see that number 26 in the end zone a lot.
First and 10, Ashland.
And let's see what they do here. And they are lining up to run a play. Ben College stop short there. They hand it off, and it is Eddie Lopez.
Breaking
The outside, he's still going, and he's still moving forward. Oh, and it's going to get a little chippy. Going to get a little chippy as the Bulldogs get into the Clocker sideline. He gets out of bounds. He stops the clock.
Well, what started off as mutual respect may have become mutual disrespect after that touchdown.
Yeah.
And the Clockers are now looking to score.
He got the first down. He could have gone down, but hey, who knows? Maybe he gets $1 for every point he scores, you know, from your parents.
Yeah.
And first down for the Clockers, and it's Lopez again. He gets a couple, and they stare each other down. Minute 41. And he might have called the timeout. If you didn't like Coach McKay enough before, you gotta love him. You gotta love him now. Calling the timeout. Solid. Take your 2-minute timeouts. I don't care about the rain. There you go. The second half line was 6.5. So if they can put it in, they'll cover the second half. Horning underneath. All right, he's already down. You don't have to jump on him. Yeah, he didn't like that.
Should have been a flag.
He didn't like it.
And again, the refs not throwing it.
Yeah, first down. First down, that was Sickles. I don't know. I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite some time. I'd keep playing. Okay.
I think the heavy stuff's coming down right now.
Okay, if somebody can just, I'm going to look at my phone. Can somebody just tell me what that was a reference to, what movie? I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite some time. Somebody from my genre. We have about 1.5 minutes left in the game. Sorry, 28-0. It was first and 10. 1.5 minutes, 28-0 Bulldogs. And Clockers looking to extend the game as much as they can. And here comes the Queen. We are the champions.
We will rock.
On cue. We will rock you and break into we are champions. champions. And Jackson Horning keeps it. It's got a little bit of room to the outside. He'll lose a tackler, gets out of bounds, and a late hit there. And there's the flag.
Finally.
Penalty mark on the play.
Let's hope the clockers keep it clean. They don't need to get involved in this. Yeah, good play good job, Brody Asenko, pulling Jackson out of there. And it is now second and about 3. Second and 2 with 1:24 to play. And we have a timeout by the Bulldogs.
Timeout Bulldogs.
So here we are, 28-0, 1:24 to go. Ashland Clockers trying to get on the board. The only reason they're trying to get on the board is a late score by the Bulldogs when they were leading 21-0, and they could have run out the clock, but they punched it through and took it into the end zone. So if that's the way we're going to do it, that's the way we're going to do it. And it's actually good practice. You never know when you're going to play in a tropical storm with 40-mile-an-hour winds, 45 degrees, heavy rain, muddy field. Jackson Horning passes incomplete. Brings up second down, 1:21 to go. Trailing 28-0.
And it is the cold November rain. As the Guns N' Roses song
I know. Is he
comes on.
into doubles on his playlist? Didn't you say you heard this already?
Yeah, this came on before the game started.
Raindrops keep falling on my head, just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed. All right, second and 10, 28-0. Jackson Horning drops back to pass, and it might be picked. Oh, and a nice grab. I think it might have been College. It looked like it could have been picked and taken to the end zone, but just through the defender's hands, and College with good concentration to bring it in, and that's going to bring up a measurement. Could we delay the game any longer? We might have a measurement. No, third and a half. No, he's giving them the first down. They're moving the chains, and it will be first and goal.
No, they're gonna say first and 10 from the 11-yard line.
Okay. I'm gonna use my binoculars and zoom in. I'm gonna see where they spot it. It is going to be. He's not putting it down yet. Doesn't want to get the ball any wetter than it needs to be.
And again,
have you ever seen the show Naked and Afraid? This is what it's like every night when they go to sleep in the jungle. All of a sudden the rains come down, they're shivering. It's like 40 degrees. They're trying to start a fire in like the middle of a swamp. Here we go, first and 10. Horning back to pass, and that one just floated out of the back of the end zone. Second and 10 from about the 10.25 yard line. And I got to give the cameraman some credit here, because he's really hung in there with that umbrella. He is determined to get full use out of that. He's got a little bit of hair showing from the front of the hat, and I think he's just trying to protect it. If I had that much hair, I'd protect it too. All right, and there's a pass. He's wide open. There's a touchdown. Touchdown, Nathan Sickles from Jackson Horning. Good for them. Good for them.
Clockers will not go quietly into the night.
28-6, and there's something for the fans to cheer about. Good for them.
As the rain just gets worse and worse, and the wind gets worse and worse. I think we're up to gusts of 45, at least now. And again, thank you to our cameraman, as you said before.
And that's Mr. Automatic, but the ball is just too heavy. It's like kicking I don't know what it's like kicking, but it's something heavy and wet. Anyways, 28-6, 55 seconds to go. I think I just saw a cow fly by. And a little Montel Jordan to get the crowd going. He is into a repeat playlist. That's the only downside I can say for this old Rochester PA guy. He's using doubles. He's using doubles. There's enough music out there. You got Spotify, Pandora, plenty of free music apps. See if they go for the onside kick. And that's Andre Agostinelli getting ready to kick off.
And I think we're going to have to start our wrap-up early. That way we can
and it's
get our equipment in.
And that could do it. Didn't go 10 yards, but he fielded it anyway, so makes it a legal kick. And now I think we will take a knee. Todd, if you want to go do your start, I will just start to say goodbye.
I think we will wrap it up again. Rainy, cold, windy night here at Old Rochester. We're going to start wrapping things up. The conditions are just getting worse and worse. The equipment's getting wet. We want to make sure that we can save this. We have an upcoming basketball season, and of course, coming soon to you is Thanksgiving Day football. The Clockers again will be taking on the Hillers.
I think we're just going to take one more snap there, and you may have to take one. They're going to shake hands, and a well-fought game. Just came up a little bit short on the season, but overall I would consider this season a success. And they'll have to snap one more time.
They're within 30 seconds.
And
so
that's it. And that is the ball game, 28-6. The Old Rochester Regional Bulldogs defeating your Ashland Clockers as the clock runs out here. And the clock runs out on the Clocker season. And thank you everybody for viewing. We hope you enjoyed it from both schools. Thank you to Todd Carter. And Todd, your camera people, thank them. And
yep, Connor Donovan and Mackie Kotov, our cameramen tonight. Thank you to them. And they stuck with it all night.
Unbelievable job, unbelievable. Whatever they get paid,
double it.
Double it, and then cut it in half. But thank you for watching, and it's been a lot of fun. We'll hopefully see everybody online on Thanksgiving. And for Todd Carter, I'm Rob Silver saying good night and go Clockers.